right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. We're up to our higher cards now. We've gone through the entire deck. This is the end of the Check Your Deck series. And so by now you've got it all figured out that this is earth, air, fire, water. We talked about sevens and being more emotional. We talked about eights, bringing it back down to the beginning and out to the future, sort of a cyclic thing. We talked about nines being sort of more intense. The intensity is rising. And here we are with tens. And so what you've gotten now is that sometimes a high card can be too much. It can be too bright, too chatty. And so depending on the position in the Tree of Life spread, we'll do lots of Tree of Lives after this video. And we'll just start breaking it down about how these kinds of numbers can have either a positive or negative effect depending on where they land in the tree. So here's our social networking card. Busy, busy, digging in the dirt, lots of connections being made here. This would be a really great thing to have in roots if it was for like a business reading. And so it could also represent like a large family, a lot of people, and just generally being busy. So we like this as long as everything is balanced. We don't want to be too busy. If there was too many black cards and too many high black cards in that reading, we would suggest that it's time to take a little break, balance things out, and maybe have a vacation. When we have swords, swords can be a lot of communication. Again, here's the swords now, and they're pointing away from each other. We have the double rows down the side to make our 8 and then 9 and 10. And so this is another point where it's like, hopefully when you've divided your groups and one side and the other side are in good communication, it means that it's a positive separation and everybody's on their right side. If there's a division here that's negative, it could be that there was really a blowout. There was really something that went down and now these groups have divided. So sometimes just taking a breather or continuing the process, depending on where it falls in the spread, is a very good thing. If it's 10 in the roots like this, in this particular suit, we know that this is swords. And so this is the element of air, and it can just blow that tree right down. We know that these swords can just cut it, and that that would mean that there's a tremendous change coming in the roots of your life, or of your business, or of your health. And the next card up from those roots would really determine the strength of that. And so here we are with diamonds, which of course is wealth. We all like lots of money. We like lots of protection. And so we know that our immune system is strong. Our finances are good. But we need to be careful about too much fire. So again, here we are with earth, air, fire. If things are too fiery, things are getting too hot, especially if there's a lot of hot conversation, this could be the conflict, the spark that causes flames that are not healthy. And it could also be that there's greed involved. If there's greed involved with the 10 of diamonds, then this is when we start talking about, hey, you should donate to a nonprofit organization. You should start an educational fund to start training young people to do whatever it is you do. Maybe give your employees a raise, something to that effect, something to kind of cool the fire a little bit there if you're feeling really sassy about being really wealthy. So ultimately in love, we love, love. 10 of hearts in love means, wow, love is wonderful. Now think about it if this was in the blossom position on the Tree of Life spread. If we have pop, 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 we have this big blossom going on here, but then the fruit from that blossom is a low card. That means that you're kind of blowing all the energy too soon. It made a beautiful flower. It was lots of fun, but ultimately you didn't get that much out of it. A great place to have a 10 of hearts would be in the fruit, to have something growing and changing and moving forward into a really nice, big, fat, juicy fruit reward from that. Of course, 10 of hearts in the spirit card, the final card position, that would be just love coming down from above, universal love, family love, spirit guide love, and so everybody's happy with hearts, usually. Here's Jack. He's my favorite card. We've got our Jack of Clubs. Jack of Clubs is a message coming from the mailman. Maybe it's the Pony Express rider. He's got a note for you from his satchel. This is email communication, phone, chat, possibly texting, that kind of thing. A message is coming if it's in the future position. If it's in the past position, it means some communication just recently came, and so now we're working with the new information that we gathered. This is the talk about it card. This is more up in the air again with swords, and we call them spades as well. And so this could be positive or negative communication. Sometimes it's bad news. Sometimes we kind of keep the black cards in the realm of negative, but you gotta sow your oats, so to speak. So you've got to go through cycles with both bright and dark elements. So sometimes this is that you just really need to talk to somebody, or a conversation that you had with somebody didn't go very well. It's hard to say with this guy because, again, it depends on where it falls. If it's in the roots position in the tree of life spread, that's definitely suggesting a change in location, a change in position, that kind of thing. If it's coming from up above this way, penetrating down, that's that you really need to listen to who's out there. Never feel alone, that your spirit guides are always with you, whatever you believe in. Money card, health card, here we are with diamonds, Jack of diamonds. We get a message about you really need to have that test done. You really need to go to that appointment. You really need to meet with your banker. So if it can be money or health related, either way, again, how he lines up in those positions makes a difference. Now, some people say that this is a darker complected youth, a youthful knave. Some say this is a lighter complected youth or youthful knave, and they all have blonde hair. If you look at the uniforms, this guy is much more serious with his uniform. He's kind of a little more jovial considering the seriousness of his card. Diamonds, we're always going to have some bling on there, and then hearts, we get the double cross, cross your heart. I really like this guy. So a love communication. This could be very childlike. It could be that you got a Mother's Day card made by your second grader. It could be that something came from grandma's, usually kind of family related. So love of family, love of life, loving what you do is here, and it's either you should be communicating more about it, learn more about it and communicate it, or that some new information is coming in that you really need to listen to. Anytime you get these cards and they bump up against other face cards like Queen or King, it means you really need to listen to what that person has to say. All right, here we go. Last two cards. We're almost done with this, and then we'll get down to the real business. The Queen. All right, Queen in Earth. Of course, Earth Mother, Earth Teacher, Earth Priestess, any higher authoritative figure that's a loving educator with a little bit of sternness. Mom is always a little stern. She's always going to keep you in line, especially if she's a teacher telling you you've got to get that homework done or your grade is going to be low. If it's a female boss that has deadlines and she expects you to complete these tasks, she's going to be as nurturing and as communicative as possible. She's also going to be very generous here with the wealth side of things, as long as all goes well. So she can be very generous, but she can also be cold, and she can just take it all away. We don't want mom to be shut down. We don't want this feminine divine energy to be cold or dark in any way. And so we want to satisfy her. So again, when we see where it lays in the spread, it'll help us decide if we really need to listen to this feminine figure, which could also be a man. And so we've talked about this with other cards where masculine and feminine elements reside within all of us. Men can be very good nurturers. Men can be very good mother type figures. And so in the olden days, we really drew the line between masculine and feminine. And these days we've learned to lighten up just a little bit and let the male energy also be as creative. This could be your drama teacher. This could be, any kind of group setting where they're the ones that are the team leader trying to push you forward in a positive way. And they might be just a little rough, especially in swords. Words can hurt. And so hopefully you can decide what information to keep and when to shut it down. If it seems like, wow, that's too much, that you're the judge and you protect yourself. All right, end of the row. So I've checked my deck. I've made sure that in every suit and every value, I have every card, because I wouldn't want to start reading at a festival or a party or something like that and have cards be missing. Again, I do not use jokers. I know some fortune tellers do. I do not. That's just the way I was taught. So sometimes jokers can be placed in the deck if there's a missing card. What I do every time is I just get a fresh new deck. They're inexpensive, so it's an easy thing to do. Also, these pictures are comfortable. These are things that people can already relate to just playing cards in the world. It's not like really far out tarot cards with a bunch of symbols and stuff. These are just everyday numbers and faces that we're used to. So here's the king. Oh, look, swords ended up on this side. Hey, buddy, you're supposed to be over here. So, yeah, they have a mind of their own. They kind of take their own path. Here we have an earthly king. This is definitely the priest. This is definitely the boss. This is definitely the principal of the school. So this is your highest male energy figure that's going to have the most profound fatherly or advisor type information, but he's not the queen. Quite often the queen is actually the ruler and the king is sort of the monarch and the figurehead. And so it's kind of interesting that the king is a little bit softer, gentler energy as he has risen to the top, and he has people below him that he advises. Often the queen will try to manipulate the king, but ultimately the king has the final word and the final authority. A lot of times you can run to the king when the queen has been bitter. So here's the sword. This is a guy that's like, come sit on my lap. I'm Santa Claus. We're going to talk this out. And that's a positive thing. So think of it as someone that you can really turn to for advice, someone that you can really trust. His word is his bond. He's also wealthy or is a doctor figure. If this is in your health reading, that's a great thing. And so he's the one that's not only going to do things for you, but he is going to teach you how to do things for yourself. And so a good doctor will educate you on how to get yourself better in the future so that you're not so dependent on him. And so we have these leaders in our life that ultimately in love, in hearts, have us move on, have us move up. Their job is complete. Now you get the promotion. Now you become a parent. Things are cyclic and will move up and move out. If a king is in the trunk of the tree, remember we have roots and trunk in our branches, a king in the trunk is definitely someone that's keeping you strong financially, emotionally. So it's a security thing that your tree is not going to bend when you have a good king. Now, in the readings that I do, usually these face cards, kings and queens, are outside of us. And so it means that they represent other people in our lives, that we are our own kings and queens as well. And so we'll move on to the next lesson and we'll start doing some spreads. Take care.